The Bell's Corners edition. It's one of three that happened during the week. I'm going to share my screen because I'm going to start off showing you the website that drives everything for us, and it's www.pbex.ca. So pbex.ca, and so we're going to go down the list here. Who is the person of the member of the week? Hey, it's a new one that's in the Thursday group. It's Kimona Petrova and Pavel Bogdanov, and they are from Langdon's Flowers. So this just joined recently. So we have down here. Sorry, my screen's jumping a bit. So if you are wanting to join us this morning, you would click on the Monday morning 8 to 9 Bell's Corners. Just click here. And then there's the Wednesday, there's a Thursday, gives you the time of day, etc. It's Eastern Standard Time. And then on February 6th, the After Hours group. It's free for all members to attend, and it's at 7 p.m. Events that are coming up, if you want to know about wills and estates, and that's going to be happening real soon. Actually, today at 2 p.m. So if you're so inclined, register for that at Cogier. And then we have the East Trade Winds tomorrow at 8 a.m. Mix and Mingle February 20th. Penalty's got dancing and moving around and healing classes. So if you need to, motor, there you go. The QR director for all members and top books to read. So what's been going on stats wise? We've had over $2,400 worth of referrals this year to date, plus over $4.5 million worth in business since 2016. E-cards, those are that QR code that we get as members. We've had 891 connections as of January 1. So that's a handy, useful tool that keeps you connected with other people, makes it frictionless. Need more information? Reach out to Tony. And now we're going to stop for some words of wisdom because, we have a gentleman that knows stuff and he drinks coffee first thing in the morning. So, Mike, over to you.
Well, actually, I always get nervous when I do education, so it's Scotch. But and that's just between us. Oh my God, we're live. Oh well. I want to talk to you about today about being present. Life gets messy, sticky. We have stresses in our life, whether it's because of family or maybe friends or maybe your workplace, even customers, pushing your buttons. And then you get stressed. And what happens is you get that train of thought going. And it's hard to get out of that train of thought unless you become present. And easier said than done, because again, you got all that noise going on. You need to have that kind of anchor system or what have you that says that you get that feeling that you're stressed, you stop, you're present, and that will help mitigate and dissipate the stresses that you are going through, because again, you're not traveling in those mind thoughts. So anchor systems are a great way to become present. And basically, an anchor system is something that you like, you trained on, you've learned about it, and it's easy then to recognize when you're stressed out. I can just go to myself, hey, you know what, I'm going to use one of my anchor systems or whatever to break state, so that I can be present and just focus on the moment, count my blessings, have gratitude, whatever your mantra is, what you go through, your rituals. And then when you go back and you think about the issue that you have, you can help mitigate that problem a lot easier. So I'm going to share the screen. I'm going to share with you one of my anchor systems that I always use. Big picture thinking. Always love the universe. I want to show you something here.
Perfect.
Okay, everybody see that?
Perfect.
Okay, great. So as a coach, because most of you guys know that I am also a coach, and I coach. Basically, I help individuals surpass the understanding that they have of themselves. And one of the ways is when we take a look at the totality, something that's so much more bigger than us. And Tony, he does a lot of this type of stuff in his practices and his programs or what have you. And Tony also helps people help stop and become focused and present, which can help mitigate their stresses. So I'm just going to take a small peek at our known secret word here, known universe. Okay, and so here we are, and And that's where our let's say, for instance, our known universe stops. And then from that, we go from our known universe to what's called our unknown universe. All right. This is where we cannot explore, but with scientists and facts, it's estimated that it's 28 billion trillion times bigger than our known universe, what we know, the farthest that we can see with our telescopes. And to put that in context, it's basically, sorry, sorry, let me just, basically, to put it in context, it's if our unknown universe was in our known universe, then our known universe would be the size of an atom. Okay, just think about that for a second. So that's how big space is. So I want to talk to you about my anchoring, which is over here to the right, is the largest red planet sun that we know of in our known universe, which is Stephanson 218. And this, if you can see down here, a little thing, our sun, that's the size of our sun compared to this planet. So how big our sun is compared to Stephanson 218. And put that in context, how big that is, for instance, let's say a 747 carrying passengers flying at 570 miles an hour. Basically, it takes a day and a half to go around the 747 around our Earth, and around our sun, it's 7 months. And then with Stephanson, it's a lot larger, and I'll show you in a minute. So the average human being lives for 85 years. And if you were to step into a 747 at the beginning of your birth and fly for 85 years at 570 miles an hour, then that black line, if you can see it, that's as far as you would travel in your lifetime. So you're on a Boeing 747 going 570 since the day of birth, no breaks, no bathrooms, 24/7 for 85 years. That's as far as you're going to go on Stephanson 218. So when I think about that, it's just like, that's my description of wow. That really that's my anchor system. So when I get a little stressed out, man, let's think of Stephanson 218, really think about it. And then when I'm done thinking about it, I'm present. And when I go back to my daily life, the noise in my head or whatever, I can really, really, really mitigate it. So find those anchor systems, and that'll really help you keep yourself focused. And so, when we talk about the totality of everything, it's easily explained. Don't try to figure it out because, you're going to go crazy. It's something unknown is doing, we don't know what. Just leave it at that. And the tip of the day is to simplify your thoughts. Then from that point, simplify again. And from that point, simplify again. All that to say is we have fantastic lives. They're short enough on this planet as it's hurling through space and you're carving out your lives or whatever. Just try to find those anchors, be present, and just live life.
That's great.
Mike, thank you so much. Appreciate that. So now what we're going to do in our next phase is we're going to say, hey, who we are, what we do, and what's been going on in the last week. BAMs, referrals. And if you don't know what a BAM is, that's a business activity meeting. That's where you got to know another member in the Phoenix group and get to know, trust, understand. You can help refer them. So we're going to start off with Lana, you're up.
Good morning, everyone. Okay, I had this lovely, lovely little speech. I had a BAM last week with Bernie. That's right. Bernie and I got together, and then, of course, I met all of you guys at the Mix and Mingle, which was just lovely. It's nice to see everybody in real life. However, for who I am, if you're a parent helping your kids buy their first home, I've got some exciting news for you. We all know that finding the perfect home can be a challenge. Your first home can be a challenge, especially when what the parents want and what the kids have in mind are two different things. But fear not, with my real estate services, I've turned this challenge into a fun and exhilarating experience for everyone involved. Picture this: creative thinking and teamwork as we bring the parents and the kids together for home viewings. Parents, I understand you're looking for a strong resale value and a good return on your investment. And the teenage kids or the adult kids, I get it. You want a home that suits your lifestyle, especially with pets. Now, here's the magic. We take both goals and align them. Yes, you heard me right. I help you find the perfect home with excellent investment potential and lifestyle your kids will love. Now's the time to set up a plan with me, Lana Burnley. With interest rates going down this year, you don't want to miss out. Remember, never wait to buy real estate. Buy real estate and wait. I'm Lana Burnley in Solid Rock Realty and owner of Smart Living Real Estate Ottawa.
Lana, thank you so much. And folks, I'm just going to put into the chat the LinkedIn live feed. So if you want to put your contact details, any promotions, anything to help promote yourself, that is the link to do so. And we're going to kind of dance over to Alex.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks, Bernie. I'm Alex from eVolta Electric. We are an electrical contractor based here in Ottawa with a focus on sustainability. So we work on projects where we help individuals and businesses reduce their carbon footprint. And we do that through EV charging stations, energy storage solutions, building automation, LED lighting is a big one, and of course, general electrical work. In terms of this last week, well, I was away on holidays, but the week before, I met with Lana, had a good band with her, which was great. Also met with Matt from AirZone, and as a result of that meeting, meeting with Matt's management team to find ways of taking friction out of the quoting process and sort of ramping up some business with those guys. So that's me, Alex from eVolta Electric.
Thank you so much. And next up is Mike.
Thank you, Bernie. Morning, everybody. Hope everybody had a nice weekend. Mike from We Care Focus, Attractive Defensive Driving. If you take a look at the background picture here behind me, I want to just chat about that a little bit. How does a vehicle like this end up here, especially when the sky is so beautiful? Look at the road conditions, they're perfect or what have you. Well, you could say that, you know what, maybe somebody came along and did a head-on collision. Okay, that could be a factor here. And of course, if there was a head-on collision, that means one of the two individuals that were driving were distracted. And so really, what is distracted? Well, distracted is you're thinking of something else than instead of focusing at the task at hand. And what is focusing at the task at hand? That's your driving habits, your driving abilities, what's going on while you're behind the steering wheel of that car. Maybe you're thinking something, you know, at work, some stresses. Maybe you're thinking of Stephenson 218. Anyway, what you need to do is you need to focus really at the task at hand. You're driving a vehicle, you're hurtling down the road, and if this was not a head-on collision, then it could be simply maybe somebody was texting, hit a curb, rolled the vehicle, who knows what. But at the end of the day, in perfect conditions and perfect road conditions, if you focus 100% at the time while you're driving, you will never cause an at-fault accident, ever. And an at-fault accident is an accident that is deemed to be your fault. So keep that in mind. Focus at the task at hand, and steering you straight.
Mike, thank you so much. Sam, over to you.
Thank you, Bernie. Good morning, everyone. Sam Sturz, ConnectedCars.ca. There's my contact information in the chat. Well, I do dash cameras, as most of you know, and if you have an accident like Mike was talking about, you want a recording of that accident, because sometimes people will point the finger at you, and when it's not even your fault. So have a dash camera to prove who's at fault when that accident happens. Besides that, I do oil changes and brake jobs, and well, I'm inviting you this Wednesday to the Phoenix morning group, because I'm going to do a presentation, and I'm going to talk about, well, I call them idiot lights, but those are those warning lights that come on in your car. And sometimes they mean practically nothing, and sometimes they're very important. So if you want to know when they're important and when they're not, I'm going to be talking about that this Wednesday. So I'm inviting you to that presentation, and you can ask any questions you have in regards to that. Things in regards to what's going on, BAMS-wise, Pamela Barton, former member, Phoenix member, did wheel bearings on her vehicle. Alex, I still advertise for you. I don't forget that with my receipts. I'm going to see Susan McGarry later today. She's an issue with her Jeep. And I went to the Mix and Mingle last week, and met up with Lana and Jacqueline at the same time. Woo! Anyway, That's it for me. Sam Stewart, ConnectedCars.ca, today's mobile electronics, float the cost of a new vehicle, and a heck of a lot more.
Sam, thank you so much. Kat, over to you, ma'am.
Hi everybody. I'm trying to think what I want to say today. So I'm going to give you BAM wise. I don't know whether it counts. I have spoken to Tony quite a lot over this weekend, so if that counts as a BAM, yay. If not, I have a meeting tomorrow with Lana, so I will have something for you later on in the week. In terms of what I do, I give you an online presence. So this is social media, Google Business, online events, whatever it is that you need to do to be seen and found online. And what I want to do today is ask if any of you feel that your social media or your Google Business profile is not working for you. I would like to offer you a free audit where I can have a look at your social media, have a look at your Google Business profile, and give you some free pointers and tips to put you in a direction where you are going to connect with your audience and hopefully get those all-important sales. Thank you, Bernie.
Yeah, thank you so much. Jacqueline.
Well, good morning, everyone. I'm going to ask you, did you take a long, deep breath, lift your shoulders, take them back, drop them down, and say, wait, look, my coffee is ready. I made it myself. I did not go to Starbucks or Tim Hortons. I decided to save a little bit of cash. And why? Because I suggest that for anyone who decides to give me a shout, they're not going to talk about yoga right now, but they will ask, how am I able to accommodate my family of 4 in a home this year? I heard interest rates have paused. And I get to let them know, no, Bank of Canada paused. Interest rates did not. Will we see a movement? Absolutely, we will. The question will always be when. When you're looking for strategies for mortgage money, boy, oh boy, grab your coffee and call your mortgage honey.
Any BAMs?
I had a BAM with Ima. I had a BAM with Terry. That was a great BAM. And we've got 2 more happening this week.
Awesome. You know what? We're going to swing over to Ima because, hey, you mentioned her name and she's here. Ima, over to you, ma'am.
Good morning, everybody. So when it comes to what I do, I'm a commercial photographer. So I help business owners with their imaging. I take pictures of their products or services or themselves as headshots or profile photographs that then they can take and use them for their marketing collateral, either for the website or brochures or menus or anything else that they need to do with that. And that's what I do. I also have a printing company, and we take the whatever marketing collateral that you have created, either from business cards all the way to outdoor signs, and we can print them for you and have them ready for you as well. When it comes to BAMs, I had one with Jacqueline as well, and other than that, I really would like to contact Eric, as well as oh my God, Sam. I would like to get in touch with Sam as well. That's it for me. Thank you.
Yeah, Ima, thank you so much. And Tony, over to you, sir.
Okay, Bernie, I will play Shane's. Shane talked to me this morning by email, and I'm just going to play his infomercial here. So here we go. Here's Shane.
Shane Bales for ProAction Health and Performing, getting all your aches and pains, massage, chiro, and physio. Obviously, this is where everyone kind of gets in a lull. They get distracted. They were just on holidays. They're coming back. They're not getting their routines back in there. They're kind of slow to the catch. And then everything comes in December where everyone's like, oh, I need my massage. I need all my appointments because I have insurance I haven't used. Now's the time to start using that routine going forward. Our massage has some openings, which is rare for that type of treatments and stuff like that. So I would say start looking into that, getting it once a month. Take care of yourself, make yourself a better person, like Mike was talking about, and feel better all the way through. This is a time, like, how many people, like as we get older, we don't want to go outside, we don't want to get as much exercise. So sometimes that massage can kind of replace that because you're getting the muscles moving, you're moving the fluids in your body, you're getting better circulation, blood flow. And the massage service we have right now is probably one of the best I've had, from relaxation all the way to deep tissue. I had very many people just saying it's one of the best massages they've ever had. So that's something that interests you, or something that you usually get there and then you rush it at the end. Start booking now. So you can book it here with our Farnaz, or you can even see a physio chiro going forward as well, and keep up with those maintenance issues that you might need and keeping yourself healthy. I'm Shane Bayless, Proctor Sports Injury Clinic. And remember, we see results. Take care.
Hey. Hi, everybody. Tony Jennis from Higher Self. I'm the spirit guy of the group. And one of the ultimate ways to work with me, because I work with your inner spirit, I am a medium, clairvoyant, and we work on the things that really give you that inner purpose and that really charge that you really need. The best way to get a hold of me, or the best way to work with me, is through individual and private sessions. However, they can be costly over time. So I've developed a membership program where somebody can get part of 3 different ways that they can educate themselves. The first way, of course, is the weekly posts that I do. They're about an hour long each. And the second way is the monthly workshops that I do. And every time people come in, they learn something. We were focusing on pendulums in the last workshop, and it blew people's mind, the stuff that you can do with those. And the third is, of course, Spirit Night. We do that once a month, where you could come in and get a reading at a very low cost, and you can get that done. Consider me as your inner personal trainer. Tony Jennis from Higher Self, where we are here to raise your spirits. And the BAMs that I did last week, I did one with, of course, with you, Bernie. Did some business with Susan McGarry, and ongoing business with Kat. Kat, I don't know what I'd do without you. Thank you, girl. It's really becoming, she's really working me, and that's the idea. And Eric, you're working me too. You get those taxes muscles going. And so thanks a lot, Eric, for all that you do there. And that's me.
Tony, thank you so much. Tax muscles. I got to remember that one. I
Tax
need my tax muscles.
yeah.
Usually muscle is to move the taxes out of the way, not process them. My name is Bernie Fransgrote. What do I do? Well, creative insight is kind of the core of the picture. And I'm a business concierge. I help connect businesses to other ones, kind of pairing you like a fine wine to a fine cheese. And then I'm also involved in the East Trade Winds section. So we have an item tomorrow that's already been noted. Knack for Business podcast, and that's where I talk to people about their expertise, their story. So there's the backstory, the expertise, and the golden nuggets. Share that part. Then the Property Wizard. That's a course. Well, that podcast leads to a course, and it's all about commercial real estate investment, into understanding what's involved. Doesn't make you a realtor, but it makes you informed, and that's the key. And so what have I been doing the last week? Well, Lana said, hey, we both chatted, and we netted out a couple other conversations for other things. And and Mike and Tony and I, we had a chat about golf. So that's coming around the mountain. So if you want to be a sponsor, get ready. If you want to play golf, 9 holes, August 1st, Thursday, it's, there's an opportunity. Maybe you need some photos taken, and then we put them on like large billboards. Yeah, EMA could help. Yeah, you never know. So there's always an opportunity. I'm going to stop there because you know what? Our next person that's going to be speaking is our presenter. And our presenter is none other than Muscle Man, Tax Man, Eric Sonego. Over to you, Eric.
Geez, I don't know how I can top that. My wife doesn't think that I'm a muscle tax man, by the way. This weekend, I spent the weekend giving a tax presentation to the Association of Tax Preparers of Canada. So, I usually never say what I've achieved in practice. But in 2005, I won the Ontario Medal for Taxation. So, and if you ever come to visit me, it's in my office at my left. It's not part of my regular things, that I have on the wall. It's on the left. So sometimes when someone doesn't pay the bill, I look at it and say, you know, what happened here? And before I go on to my presentation, I'll tell you why I won that. What it is that I said that made me win that. They gave a 10-page explanation of family succession, and they asked us to give the best answer. So the question was, you know, you've been in business for 40 years, let's say, and your daughter is your right-hand person in the company. And one day, you know, she says, I want to be more involved in the company. And she gets more involved in the company. And her common stock rises, and they also give common stock to her husband. So it gets to the point where the owner no longer has 50% ownership of the company. So they said to me, how would you protect your long-term client? So I said, this guy doesn't need an accountant. Go get a lawyer, and go get a lawyer really fast. And that won me the prize that year. That one sentence, go get a lawyer, because sometimes we have to know where accounting ends and litigation starts when it comes to family planning and tax planning and that kind of stuff. And that's what accountants do most of the time. We go to that point, and then we will tell the client, you know what? Either you go to tax court or you need a lawyer for this. You know, you're going to have to sue your daughter. You're going to have to sue your son-in-law. And is it worth it for you to do that? And sometimes it is, and sometimes it isn't. But that's the element of taxation that you sometimes don't take the right course because it infringes on other relationships that you might have. And you know, and that usually happens in generational transactions when one part of the family passes the ownership of the business to another part of the family. You know, like out of 25 that I've done in my professional life, 20 were normal. You know, it was a normal thing where the parent grew older and could no longer handle it. And 5 were litigious, where the second generation muscled themselves into the business. And that happens, you know, that happens. Anyways, you'll see when that happens if you're near someone like that. I'm going to cover what I covered for these tax preparers on the weekend, and I will have this in a document that I'll give to Tony that he can pass on to you. So what is happening and this is, I'm breaking down in 2 sections. What is happening in tax in 2013 and what is CRA concentrating on in 2013? Not necessarily the same thing. So what is happening in 2013? Well, as you know well, and especially the people in real estate and in mortgages know well, that we have a housing problem in Canada. So, and as you know well, there is also a accusation that foreign investors are coming in and buying homes and not using them, or, you know, sitting on them or that kind of stuff. And that happens usually in Toronto, Montreal, and Vancouver. It doesn't happen so much in Ottawa. So those things are happening. So the government wanted to put an end to that. So they came up with the underutilized housing system that they, you know, that they put forward. And the federal government, after looking at everything else, said, well, you know what? It's too complicated for us to look at this. We're not at the street level. We're going to go to what the city says is underused, and we're going to charge a tax of 1% on the value of the house. So if you have a dog and you live in Bridlewood like I do, and you walk with your dog around at 10 o'clock at night or 9 o'clock at night, you will see which homes are going to be taxed at 1%. You will see that. So these people are our neighbors, and they probably are investors, and they probably, have Airbnbs, all of that kind of stuff could be interpreted as being underused. So the moral of the story is don't ask for solutions for the government, because when it comes back, it might look, the horse that you wanted might look like a camel. The other thing that's happening in 2013, which might not affect a lot of people here, maybe Jacqueline, it might affect Jacqueline, maybe Alana a little bit as well, is reportable transactions. It affects lawyers and accountants more because we see all of these schemes coming. So before, if I saw a scheme coming to me, I would have the choice to say, get out of my office, or go see a psychiatrist, or something like that. Now I have to report it to CRA. So now when I see a client doing something that is scheming, in the sense that, like I see a 2058 that is promising more in return than the money that was invested, now I have to send that to CRA and say, this doesn't smell good, take a look at it. In other words, they're making us into, parrots, so that's coming. And to sweeten the pot, they've said to the working class, the tools for workmen are going to go up from $500 to $1,000, which is, I have clients who are in the tool, who use tools for business, and they spend $5,000 on one piece on one tool, right? So it's not that big of a deal. They've increased the tax home saving plan, or they introduced it to $40,000. Well, if you live in Wawa, Ontario, that is a good plan. But if you live in an urban center of more than 200,000 people, that is an idiotic plan, because what house are you going to buy with a $40,000 down payment? I don't know. Then they've also sweetened the pot for intergenerational home credits, like if you want to build a place for your in-laws. So what you have to build to get all the $50,000, to count, you have to be able to have a washroom and a kitchen or kitchenette in that section. So you have to build an apartment. If you build, if you paint a bedroom, that's not going to get you anything. So you actually have to build something. And, if you're a worker and you're a poor worker, like I would say you are someone who's working at Starbucks, which I think you should patronize, because those people need to keep jobs, Jacqueline. If you're a worker, there's a benefit for workers in Canada of $1,400 as a tax credit for people who make between $23,000 and $43,000 a year. So if you're a worker and you make $45,000 a year, you don't get that tax credit. And if you're a worker and you make $22,000 a year, you don't get that tax credit. It's for the people in the middle who are underemployed. So that's what the new rules, or the new things in 2013 are doing. Now, what is CRA concentrating on, which is different than the new rules? So when unemployment goes up in Canada, CRA comes out with the employer-employee relationship fiasco that they have, which means that when you see the unemployment rate coming up, CRA will then question the validity of the people that work for you as to whether they're contractors or they're employees. And whenever they ask you whether they're a contractor or an employee, you have lost. Whenever they come to you, you have lost. Because people in my clients, at least, have never understood that those claims do not come from CRA. What happens is, you work for, a construction company, and they pay you, you know, as a contractor, and you fall off the ladder, and you end up in a coma in the hospital. Then your spouse will visit you in the hospital and will start wondering where the meals are going to come from now on. So she goes to Service Canada and she says, my partner was working in that place for 35 years. And here is the deposits in our bank account. You should get unemployment insurance. So Service Canada's position is that they always honor that claim. So they process it and they send it for payment. Along with that, it goes to the CRA to check to see whether that was put through payroll. So CRA sees that it hasn't gone to payroll, and they send you the questionnaire. So you've already lost. Now, if you lose, you will be in very good company. York University lost, the Thunder Bay Philharmonic Orchestra lost, most of the truck companies in Canada lost, all of those people lost. I am one of the people who was part of that thing, because when I was at TA at York University, we were being paid as contractors. And the guys in the law school at Osgood Hall was telling our faculty that we should not be paid as contractors. And our faculty said, we are the business faculty. We know more than the government. So they continue paying us. So, you know, I left university, I got married, and I was working in the finance department. And one day in the ticker tape thing comes, Supreme Court decision, York University loses, you know, employee thing. And I said, well, let's check that. And it was my group. So it was my group 10 years earlier that it took 10 years to go through the courts, and they lost. So that was the first big test in Canada. And you know, in my career, there's been two big tests in Canada: employer-employee relationship, and the wife of the farmer, who the farmer said did not contribute anything to the farm, and therefore in the divorce she gets nothing. And that happened to someone in Winnipeg, to a farming family in Winnipeg, and she sued when I was in grade 11 or grade 12. And she won when my son Alex was born, and I was a civil servant. Her estate won. But that's what changed the laws in Canada for spouses working in businesses, for spouses getting 50% of the business. So a spouse doesn't have to be active to get 50% of the business if the business was started before they were married. So you get married and then you start a business. That business is 50%, both, you know, your wife and you, husband and wife. It goes into the pool. And to some of my clients, up until 10 years ago, that was a very gut-wrenching thing when they were getting divorced. You know, especially people who are foreign to Canada, because they came to me to be organized, so that the spouse didn't get any money. And what happens is I had to tell them, no, it's not taxation, it's family law. And the Family Act of Ontario supersedes taxation. So you lose in that sense as well. Now, the other thing that CRA is looking on in 2013 that they're not telling you about is medical expenses. So if you know somebody who is of a certain age who has a lot of medical expenses, make sure you have the receipts, because especially these days that you're sending things electronically, they will wait a year and then they will ask you for the receipts. They'll do it worse. They will assess the person, they will give them a refund, and then 6 months later they will reassess and say, we are disqualifying you because of the medical expenses, which we didn't ask you to send, but we don't think you have, so there you go. And then you have to come up with the expenses and send it to them. And we've done 2 of those this year. Of the clients who did last year, we have 2 people who are really sick, and they both were questioned. So, do they have a heart? No. Do they claim they have a heart? No. The other thing CRA is doing is looking at those corporations that have passive income. And most of my clients don't have a clue of what passive income is. So passive income is Bob, the guy who does renovations, is now 55 years old, and he does renovations, and he gets a location, and he gets a location so that he talks to Jacqueline, and Jacqueline says, if you get that location, you better get things that you can have other people rent from you so they can pay for your mortgage. Good idea. Great idea. Right? So Jacqueline does that, Lana gets in the location, guy is flying. But, sooner or later, he decides that he doesn't want to do any more renovations. He wants to, sell the business or quit, and just be a landlord. So at that point, it changes, because the money he made as a renovation, the money you're all making right now, most of you, because I don't know all of you, but the money most of you are making is active income, which means you worked for it, and you either get a commission from it or you charge for it, right? So it doesn't matter how passive your work is. Like Tony has very passive work. He puts you to sleep on Fridays, but even that is active income. Passive income is when your money is making money, not when you are making money. When your money is making money, you have passive income. Rent is passive income. So my clients who did that beautiful tax planning through a corporation, changed from 12.5% taxation to 38% taxation, plus provincial tax. So they went to a 50% tax rate, and you can't get out of it because you're a landlord. And you're not a landlord that's big enough to be able to have inventory. So you have investment. The difference between that guy and Minto is that Minto has lots of homes, so the government says you have investment. Right? So it's a very draconian rule that affects most people who do good tax planning, through the corporation. In fact, the CRA and the Department of Finance in 2016 said, we are going to make sure that nobody does tax planning through a corporation. And you're living through these things. And the 2 last things I want to talk about are the attribution rules, section 160, that most of you know. If you are in a business that one person is involved, 2 people are involved, one person makes a lot of money, and the other person is just a nominal shareholder, but they're connected, they're married, or they're related, right? So you have that. And then the person making a lot of money says, you know what? I'm gonna give you a bigger salary. I'm gonna give you a bigger salary. Yes, you're only washing the floor and putting out the garbage, but I'm gonna give you $75,000 a year. Because you're related to me. And I'm not gonna make 150, I'm gonna make 75,000, and we're gonna report like that. And you're gonna be an executive of my business. So when that happens, the government comes and says, show me the job description, show me what they're doing. And they will say, no, that you're doing this to diminish your own taxation. So they attribute that income to you, and that's called the attribution rules. And we've had that for, I would say, 70 years in Canada. Section 160 is not old, is not new. What's happened up to since 5 years ago What happened 5 years ago is a CRA looked at it and said, why cannot we use this? Why can we not redefine this rule so that it captures other people other than people who are splitting income? So they found out that the rule affects people who are married a lot of the time. So they went they did redefine the what I think is the relationship between you and your corporation. So when you have a corporation and you work and you're making a salary, you're an employee. But when you are making dividends, you're no longer an employee. You are very closely allied yourself to the corporation. So if you don't pay your corporate taxes, they will come after you because you took dividends out of the business. I had a client who got clobbered with this because the lawyer told him, you can take dividends out, don't worry about it, it's a good tax plan to your account to give you T5s, it's okay. So he did it for 10 years. Then, his contract started out with the government and he went out of business. 2 years later, they invoked Section 160 and he had to pay something like $200,000 in corporate tax, plus penalties, plus interest. So if you take dividends, make sure you're in a company that if they go out of business, goes out of business without owing any corporate taxes to the government. And when we can do that, most of us, especially these days, most companies are not making any money. So that's one thing. Now, if you pay dividends and you don't have the retained earnings, they'll come to you and invoke 160 anyways. They'll say you are not supposed to be making dividends. That goes into payroll, and you are responsible for it. So it's a complicated tax issue, but I would just mention that it's because people don't understand the idea of closely allied, closely involved. So dividends is closely involved, salary is not closely involved. So if you're closely involved, you're responsible. The last thing I'm going to talk about is something that 2 clients got caught here last year, and there were people who were making one was $10 and the other was $5 in foreign income. Up until 2 years ago, if you had foreign income, let's say you're dealing with a royal bank and they have a foreign portfolio that you're dealing in and you're not making any money, and they send you a T1135 that says you made $5, you are supposed to report that in your tax return. Now, if you don't report that, the penalty is not on the $5, it's on the days you're late, $25. And they take 2 years to get it. So that will be 700 days that they'll charge you $25. So I've had clients who were charged $5,000 and $6,000 for not reporting $10. And it's gone to tax court and they lost at tax court because tax court said, this is not a tax on your money. This is not on you not sending the form. The law says you have to send the form, even if it's zeros. Right? So if you get a T1135 from an investment company, send it, put it in your tax return because the investment company already sent it to the government. And in Canada, our taxation system in Canada is one of matching. So if you do a T4 for an employee, those of you who have employees, you know that you send the copies of those T4s with a T4 summary to the government before February 28th. So they're sitting with the T4 there when the employee is doing their taxes, and they match it. So if you say they made $40,000 here, and they see that in the one you send it's $40,000, they do it. Unless you work for the Ottawa Carleton School District Board, who have an incompetent management, administration thing, because my daughter is a teacher, and they send you a T4, and then in July, they decide they made a mistake and they do another one, but they don't tell you. After, they don't tell you you've done your taxes, and the CRA then, and when you went to your employee thing, it wasn't there or anything like that. So unless you have something like that, but because CRA will do matching when they send the other one, they'll do matching and say, where is this? And she got reassessed, and they said, well, you didn't report this T4. She never knew about the T4 because it wasn't given to her directly. That's an exception to this rule, but it happens. If you work for large employers. Any questions?
I have one that's a little bit off, but it's along the same line in the theme. I've heard of people that they want to make some extra money on their home. They have an extra room, so they'll bring in a student or a person to rent the room for $500 just to help pay the mortgage, but they don't claim it. However, the student does, because a student can claim, well, where'd you live? And it's the same idea. So that's
yes.
So is that it's along that line that they still get the file
yes.
from someone else, and that's why they're
Yes.
coming after
Yes.
you. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
One other quick question, Eric, before you go further. You said 2013 several times. Do you mean 2024?
2023. 2023. I'm sorry.
Okay, sorry. I was going, geez, we're going back in time. I better get back to my job, my regular job back in that day. Sorry. Go ahead, Mike.
I have a question too.
Go ahead, Mike.
Yes, Mike.
Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
Thank you, Bernie. Eric, last week I got a call from somebody, and the phone call was on my cell was indicating it was from CRA, and it was a few times they called, and I decided to finally answer it. The representative claiming to be a CRA agent gave me a number, her number and name and what have you, and started to ask me about my business questions about my corporation. I told her that I was advised never to give this information over the phone because of all the scams or whatever, but I will call CRA directly myself to see, you know what I mean? And so she gave me a number to call, and I checked that number on the website. It was close, but it wasn't there. So I called the business CRA number, and I had to go through a whole security, check with my past corporate taxes, that all this kind of stuff. And once I cleared that, then the guy looked at the file, the notes, he called it, and said there was no notes on your thing or what have you. So long story short, we said our goodbyes. He was very helpful and all that. Do you have any advice about how these people if it was a scam or not or whatever, but do you have any advice moving forward? Like, don't give any information. What are your thoughts?
The part of the problem is that some people only work with their cell phone. And that's the number they give to CRA. So they are caught in this scam world, because that cell phone can be phished now by unscrupulous people. If you use a landline, or if you use a working phone, even if it's voice over IP, and that's what you give to CRA, whenever they call you on your cell phone, it's a scam.
Okay.
Because you haven't given them your cell. So if you have another number at home, or you have, an office number, never give your cell phone number to CRA.
Okay.
Because it's not because, it's a bad thing. Because if they call you, in that number, it's legal. But the cell phone number that you use it's potentially taken by scammers. I get those phones myself, but I know that CRA doesn't know my cell phone number. So I get those phones myself, and I tell them, oh yeah, sure. Well, where do I send a check? And then I hang up. Right. So it you have to be careful, because even in landlines, they go after these scammers come after you.
So would a procedure be if you did get a call on your cell phone or what have you, that you don't give any information and you would tell that individual, because if it is a legit call saying that because of scams, I'm going to call CRA Direct the next day to go through the information that that you guys require, if any, would CRA sit there if it was a legal call from CRA? Would they sit there and go, yeah, for sure?
No, yes, I would, your cell phone, most cell phones keep a record of the phone call, the number, right? So I will look at the number, go to another phone and dial that.
Oh.
And you will get, this phone number is not in service.
Ah.
Okay. Because they temporarily take numbers out that Bell Canada has, somewhere, and they take, they'll take Lana's number out and they'll use it for one call, and then they'll take Jacqueline's, and then they take Alex and they take, like that. And we don't even know they've taken our phone number out. Right. But you cannot call, like they're using it as a masquerade. In other words, they're using my number as a masquerade for the number they're using. So it looks like Eric is calling you, but Eric is not calling you.
Mm.
Right? That's why when you call it back, they tell you that number that called you is not in service.
Oh.
Anyways, this is not taxation, but it's something that my clients get caught on all the time.
Okay.
I can tell you her name because she's a friend as well. Iris in Cumberland, 5 years ago, was told to go to a department store and get, gift certificates to send to them. And she called me from the department store. And I said to her, Iris, and she's Swiss, right? So I said, would Switzerland ask you for gift cards, or would the bank ask you for gift cards to pay your mortgage? She said no. I said, well, don't buy it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they frighten people, right? And they say, you don't have time to write a check, you don't have time to clear the bank. So if you buy a gift card, it's money already spent and you can give it to us.
Yeah.
Right? So think about a moment. You're living in a democracy, highly bureaucratized bureaucracy. What tax guy in CRA is going to say to you, give me gift cards?
Only a corrupt one. Emma, you have another question.
Yes, Emma.
Clock already.
Yeah.
But it was about the passive income part of it. So we have to treat the passive income just as like any other tax situation. Eric?
If you're incorporated?
No, let's say, for example, I have my business, but I also have another passive income that has nothing to do with my business.
Yes.
I have to treat that passive income like any other source of income and declare those taxes as well, right?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
And the rules they're employing for corporations are coming to us as individuals, right?
Mm-hmm.
So rental income is something that was taxed at your personal tax rate. So if you made $50,000 in rental income, you deducted your expenses, and then their net income, let's say $20,000 was your taxable amount at your taxable rate. They're studying on how to make that taxable rate higher than it would be if you higher than it would be if you were incorporated. As they're moving it to a 38% level.
Okay.
Because they're trying to discourage people from sitting with rental properties.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right. So if you have investment income, that's passive as well, but they don't get as mad about that. They just take the money and go. But if you have rental income,
no, it's not a rental. It's not a
right.
rental. It has nothing to do with the rental or anything like that. But I just want to know, how do I treat this? When it comes to the taxes, right?
It depends what kind of passive income is. If it's investment, you will either get interest from it or you will get dividends from it, and that you put through your tax return. If it's something that is not paying you anything, you don't report anything.
Okay.
If you try to do something nice for somebody, let's say you give somebody a room, it's worth $500, but you don't charge for it. Is that still considered a benefit? That's taxable.
If they don't like you, yes.
If they don't like, in the CO.
They reported it. They reported it.
Yes. If they don't like you, yes, because they will say that that person is getting a benefit of $500.
You know, that opens a whole new line of questioning.
Oh,
and,
wow.
Yes.
This
so this opens a whole
when you do
line
your
of
taxes,
questioning.
when you do your taxes this year, look at page 1 and see what the title is. It's a Canada Income and Benefit Taxation Form.
Yeah.
So a benefit is taxable in Canada.
You
This
can't even
also-
give somebody something. Wow.
This also opens up what benefits you get out of your business if you get a car, because that can be deemed as a benefit, especially if it's an employee getting a benefit.
Yes. Well,
and
cars are in another world. Cars in another world.
Only when they run you over. We're at 9:03. We're at 9:03. You have a Pandora's box of many things in many different directions here.
When I come back from
that's right. When you come back, folks, the quote for the day is, if you look at what you have in life, you'll always have more. If you look at what you don't have in life, you'll never have enough. That's from Oprah Winfrey.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna wrap us up in the broadcast because we're at 9:03.
Yeah.
But you know what? Eric is here, and if he's got time, and you have more questions about
yes,
how do I evade my tax, or if I get paid cash, what happens next? Because those cash transactions are also little puppies that crop up that CRA pays attention to even more so.
Yes.
Well, that means that
great presentation, Eric. Great presentation.
Take care.
Thanks.
Yeah, take
Thanks,
care.
Eric.
Thanks a lot, Eric. That was great.
Have a great day.
Never dull, Eric. Never dull.
Well, taxation should not be dull because it's your
Taxes are
money.
dull, but not Eric.
Taxation should never be dull because it's your money leaving your pocket, and that's never dull.
So Eric, here's a question. If you have rental properties, what is the threshold